Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Dave Sands. Welcome to the Food Origins podcast. I'll be talking to people about their unique stories with food. And as a quick reminder, the restaurants and gear talked about on each episode can be found on my website, foodoriginspodcast.com. I appreciate your support, and thanks for listening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Food Origins podcast. Today, I sit down with Ulises Bella. He is one of the founding members of the Grammy Award-winning band Ozomatli. My friend Uli grew up in Southeast Los Angeles, California, and Uli developed a passion for music at a young age and went to the LA High School of the Arts. After Uli spent some time in college playing in some punk bands, he met the now founders and members of Ozomatli. Uli then decided to drop out of college and pursue his dream of becoming a full-time musician. Uli has spent many years traveling to over 50 countries and becoming a cultural ambassador in the process. Ozomatli received 2 Grammy Awards for the Best Latin Rock Alternative Albums, Street Signs, and Embrace the Chaos. Ozomatli recently celebrated their 25th anniversary and just released their new album, Marching On. Uli considered himself a forever student, and it shows, being a multi-instrumentalist and a Gracie Jiu Jitsu black belt who also started Ghetto Dojo JJ Club. Growing up, living in LA, and combined with his travels, Uli really drops probably the largest range of restaurants on this podcast to date. I appreciate him for doing that, and don't worry about writing any of these down. All of them will be able to be found in the show notes at foodoriginspodcast.com. So I've put the links in as many as I can. If they have a website, you'll be able to find them there. And from meeting and having delicious food prepared by Chef Jose Andres, spending time in Kathmandu, families roasted sheep's head, getting food poisoning, LA Mexican and Japanese food, and so much more. And a special thanks to Uli because he produced the music and beats that you hear during all these podcasts before and after. And for Ozomatli, their new album is out now. It's called Marching On. It's on vinyl, CD, and digital at ozomatli.com. I really enjoyed this episode. Hope you do too. Appreciate you all listening. Thank you. All right, man. Mm-hmm. We're rolling.
Rolling.
It's on.
Yes.
Thank you, Uli. Appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you, Dave, for having me.
Of course, man.
Yes.
And appreciate your time, taking out the time. And we're here in LA.
Taking time to make time, baby.
That's right. So, I mean, right off the bat, man, I'm going to be talking about all things food with you. Mm-hmm. And
I love food.
And we spoke a little bit. You're like, I got stories for days.
Oh, yeah. When it comes to food and just amazing and regrettable culinary experiences, I have a plenty of stories.
That's for sure. And we're going to get into them for sure. But, right off the bat, let's just get, we've known each other for a few years. Mm-hmm. We go back a little bit. Jiu-jitsu related and stuff.
Yes.
But, tell us about yourself. Tell us, where you grew up, where you're from, your background. That'd be great.
Yeah. I grew up here in Los Angeles. I was born in Hollywood, but I grew up in Southeast LA, in Bell, California, to be specific. And, growing up, I was into music at a really young age, so I got bussed a lot. I went to different schools all around LA, ended up at the High School for the Arts, for high school. That experience alone just opened up a lot of doors to just, seeing just the spectrum of what LA is, going through all the neighborhoods, Koreatown, South Central, the Valley, just knowing kids from the Valley. I didn't know anybody outside from my neighborhood, when I was like going to elementary school. Mm-hmm. And then, obviously just being into music, I that was my whole passion growing up and into college and whatevers. And then, at a pretty early age, 17, 16, I was already like wanting to gig and do music and play in bands and whatnot. And, started off in little punk bands and stuff like that, playing pretty cool little venues. And then, as college rolls around, that's when I started meeting a lot of different musicians to jam with. Was in this band called Yeska for a while. And then I started meeting the guys from Ozomatli, who ended up being in Ozomatli. And then, I ended up quitting college, and just because I was like, hey man, I'm about to go on the road with this band, and maybe I'll come back to school, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. And and that's been my kind of like main thing now for over 25 years, and a lot of experience touring the world, over 50 something countries, being a cultural ambassador, playing pretty much every major music festival in different, in every continent, and just seeing a lot of life and through these experiences. And I'm just, I feel like I've lived 3 or 4 lifetimes already sometimes, like, dang, all the things we've done. But I'm still here. I'm still playing music. I just turned 47. And,
awesome.
Outside of music, I like, the jiu-jitsu thing has definitely been important in my own personal development. And, I've always kind of considered myself like a student forever. There's always jiu-jitsu and music kind of have a similar vibe in the sense that, like, even when you're at a master level, there's always more to learn. There's always kind of like some other angle or some other approach or some completely different tradition that, you can learn from.
100%. And that's, we're here to learn from you too. And hear what you're all about. I mean, what's your background, your ethnicity?
My dad is from Spain. He was born in Barcelona, but grew up in Navarra. It's kind of right underneath the Basque Country. Some people consider it the Basque Country.
Okay.
And my mom is from Mexico City, from Mexico. So they met here in LA at Grand Central Market. And
right on.
Yeah, and it's
a good spot. Have you spent some time there?
Yeah.
There's some good eats there.
There is some good eats there, and I'm always like, if it wasn't for this place, I might not have been around, homie.
Yeah. Yeah. So pay homage.
Yeah, no, yeah, totally. So I mean, I have really early cool memories of going there as a kid, and my dad was into the big roasted sheep heads.
Oh, wow.
They used to have just full sheep heads.
Okay.
And he would take one home, and you eat the cheek meat, and if you're really into it, you get the eyeballs or the brains.
The brains.
Yeah. So I have fond memories of Grand Central Market and going there, and I still go there every once in a while, just to hang out and eat and just see the stalls that are still there, because there's a lot of new stalls. And there's some that have been there since Crinkty Crank,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it's iconic. It's got, but there's a bunch of movies shot in there, there's some, you can go back, punch that in there in the Google, and you'll find out how many movies have been shot there. It's
for sure.
Pretty wild.
And just across the street, there's that really iconic building. And, Broadway in general, it's like, if you like movies like Blade Runner and stuff like that,
For sure.
It's all filmed around there.
Is there a spot in that market you go to pretty on the regular?
I wouldn't say that I'm devoted to it. I gotta go there. But there's this one spot that their carnitas is just fire there. So I'm always like, I gotta get at least a taco.
Yeah. Okay. And that kind of leads us right into, my first question usually regarding food is, what'd you eat growing up? Everyone has tell us what you ate growing up. What was it like as...
Yeah, no, I hear you. Being that, obviously my dad being from Spain, so there's a lot of Spanish food, calderillos, paellas, all the different kinds of Spanish ham, jamón, chorizo, butifarra. I remember going to Spain and just wanting to they have the hanging hams.
Yep.
Just carving that ham and just as a little kid, just like, oh man, I'm just not getting enough of it, man. And of course, Mexican food. I mean, I love Mexican food. Growing up, my mom used to cook and, whip up whatevers. And then, growing up in LA, one of our closest family friends was this Chinese family, and they owned this one restaurant off of La Brea called the King. And we used to go there, and they would just hook us up. They would put us in the, banquet little room. And so growing up that, and then, going to junior high with a bunch of Korean kids and being like, what is that, homie? Oh, that's kimchi. Try it. Oh yeah, trip out, or having a bunch of Filipino friends and, Japanese teachers that I had in music that would introduce me to their food, so I grew up with a lot of I guess being exposed to a lot of different culinary traditions from around the world early on. So I guess it set me up to just appreciate and not be closed-minded with food,
For sure.
I mean, I guess as a kid, everybody goes to that phase where you're a little picky about things. Or, I don't want to eat this, I don't want to eat that. But I got out of that quick even as a youngster, wanting to try things. And, so to this day, there's very few foods that I don't like, I don't
Was there anything as a kid you were just like, no, I'm good?
Well, yeah, of course. Back in the day, I hated veggies and salad. Get that out of here. But now I could totally grub out on a salad.
Sure.
Just straight up traditional style with just some really good olive oil and some red wine vinegar and a little salt and pepper. I'm all over that.
Yeah. For sure.
But yeah, veggies, I didn't like veggies. That was my thing, when but as like I said, I got out of that quick,
Mm-hmm. And that exposure that you got helps a lot. I mean, it just gives you such a wide range, like what you just mentioned of all the different cultures you just mentioned. I mean, that's a range that most people don't always get. I mean, LA's good for that. San Francisco's another one where I'm from. Totally. It's really easy to get that because it's a melting pot of people, and they're putting out the best of things that they want you to try.
And that's the one thing about food, that if there's one thing that sometimes cultures can truly appreciate from each other, sometimes is that key of I just went, before my mother-in-law passed, we went to this trip in Japan. And it was one of the first times I ever been out there where I was just actually going there for being a tourist and just being there and hanging out with family.
And no gigs, right?
No gigs.
Yeah.
I'm just out here. And we spent over 2 weeks. We spent 2.5 weeks out there and in the countryside, man, in different places. And that, if it wasn't, for family being there, But I remember the family that was there was tripped out at first because they were like, is he going to like Japanese food? We might have to get all kinds of different food just for him. And my mother-in-law and the aunt was who knew me, they're like, no, don't worry. Whatever you got's going to be cool. And that was we're off the bat when I was digging everything they were making me. And there was one point, when they did the grilled meat on the, and homie broke out the tripe and he's like, I don't know if this dude's going to like it. I was like, dude, I'm all about that. What's up?
Yeah.
It connects people in a certain way, and I've had thousands of those types of experiences where people want to share their, food with you, and in the way represents them and represents their culture. So when you appreciate it and really, really dig it, it brings happiness, all around,
Completely.
So yeah, I love that aspect of food too, where even in, not to, sure, there's all these, but even when we go to somewhere in the middle of the country, wherever's, and we're playing a gig somewhere, I always go up to like one of the locals and be like, yo, what do you eat after the show? Like, what is it that you're down? You know, what's like the spot that the local cuisine or the local thing that makes, you know, puts this place on the map, you know? And it's just like, it's always cool to like try different things like that too, you know?
Yeah, they'll give you like the barbecue spot, the good bar to eat.
Right.
Maybe the bar that has eats, because everyone wants to drink, of course, after, but then they want something, you know.
Right.
You guys have been playing for 2 hours, maybe 3, and you're like toasted. It's time for some food.
Yeah, and you know, most of the time, as far as Ozomatli is concerned, it's like I'm at the point where it's like I'm not trying to go to no club after the show.
Yeah.
Or go crazy drinking.
You were the club.
Yeah. Like I'd rather just go find the bomb spot that's grubby and like just hit that up and, you know, smoke a J and then grub and then go crash, you know, like
for sure.
That's a party to me.
For sure.
You know, as you know, at this point.
And I mean, so we can get into some of your best and worst experiences, but do you have anything that comes to mind traveling with Ozomatli that comes to mind that you're like, oh man, we went to this one spot and you hit it out of the park? I'm sure there's a lot.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot, but try to pick a couple, maybe just one or two.
Okay,
we can, you know.
Yeah, no,
just share.
So one time we were in Kathmandu. And they did this crazy, like it was like a 12-course meal that I remember. It was like it was like water buffalo dumpling, and all just like it felt like food that I've never experienced before. That's definitely was a memorable meal. Another memorable meal is like we're good friends with the chef Jose Andres. We met him a while ago in DC.
Awesome.
And we kind of forged this friendship. And there's been a couple of times that when we're playing DC, he'll invite us to his house. And he'll make like he'll just start throwing down for us, like make a paella, make whatevers. And he'll invite like, you know, like friends that he has from the orchestra, you know, some actor person, some of this, and then we're all just in this room and he's just, you know, cooking for us. That's amazing. You know, what's another one?
That's 100%. I mean, Jose Andres is killing it, and and he's also doing a lot for everyone as well. He's running World Central Kitchen.
Yeah, he's like a fucking get ready to get the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think he's in Poland right now.
Yeah,
he was.
Dude, that dude
helping out
wherever
with the war
the
right
shit
now.
is hitting the fan. That dude is at it, and he's like crazy energy. Like, you know, like when we were there one time at his house. This is when he was going to Haiti, and he's like, come here, come to the garage. And we're like, all right. And he's like showing us this like solar oven that he was going to bring to Haiti because, you know, the women are still using charcoal a lot and wood, and all those fumes kind of like are bad for you and fucked up. And so he was like showing us this solar oven that like cooks the food and all this. Like the dude is just off the charts as far as like, you know, when as a human being, to like all the good you can do potentially, you know, and his family's beautiful, cool people, and you know, his restaurant Bazaar. I've had plenty of meals at Bazaar that were out of control good. I tried this one restaurant in DC called the Mini Bar that he was doing over there, and it was like one of those places that only sits 6 people per sitting. So you're all sitting at this bar.
Yeah.
And you know,
prefix course meals.
Yeah. And there's two chefs right in front of you handing you the things. That was definitely a memorable meal.
Wow.
I've had some amazing meals in Japan. You know, trying things like horse sashimi and things like that, where I was just like, dude, or blowfish, like, dang, this is gonna, you know, just, you know, amazing stuff. And you know, you name the country, I could probably tell you a super memorable meal that I had there, you know. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be extravagant, bro. Like one time I remember I was like in Buenos Aires and we had just flown in and we were at this hotel And of course, Argentina has this reputation for amazing beef and whatever, steak. And, as an American, you're just kind of like, when you order a steak, you think like you're going to get like a couple side things, next to it,
Yeah.
So I ordered the steak and they brought it up and it was just a steak on the plate. And I was just like, whoa, like no bread, no nothing. Yo, I started eating the steak and it was so dang good. It was so good. And I was like, damn, all right, I guess it doesn't need anything else.
Yeah. Got you on the carnivore diet.
Oh yeah, that was definitely carnivore diet vibe, dude. Like,
sorry, no mash, no potatoes, no fries,
no
steak frites.
But I love my carbs, so whatever's. But
that's amazing.
That's the way to do it.
What made it so? Was it just was it like a ribeye, perfect cut?
Whatever
perfectly
it was,
made.
Yeah, it was just what. Maybe I was just that hungry too. You know? But it was good, really tender, cooked to perfection, medium rare, and just salted and peppered to perfection, and it just went down so good. And I had a little bit of red wine with it, and it was over after that.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, sometimes a simple meal like that is
for sure.
It's perfect
for sure. And dang, like I said, I so many great meals that we've experienced through the years. Like I remember one time we were in Jordan. And we went to this restaurant, man, where they were preparing the meat like almost on the fire, like it was swords. Like these, it wasn't just straight up shish kebab. It was like these swords where they were cooking the meat. It almost kind of looked like churrasqueria vibe,
right?
Too,
yeah,
but it was like Arab, Mediterranean Arab food.
Yeah,
so good.
Was it over fire? Like kind of angled over fire?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
nice.
Exactly.
Very cool.
And I love North African Arab food. It was so good. Tons of great meals there. Just it's. I don't. There's very few places where, and even in England, in places like that where, I'm not a big, huge fan of English food. You know what I'm saying? But like. I can dig on an English breakfast hardcore,
sure.
with that little hash brown and that tomato and all the little beans and whatnot, like totally. But when I'm in England, I'm like all about the Caribbean food. I'm all about that Indian curry out there,
Yeah.
And there's a huge communities of that there. So,
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's something you don't think of necessarily. I mean, if you're there, but that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a wide range. You just dropped like some awesome places you've been to. What about?
Yeah. It's crazy.
We're always talking about the best.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking, I had the best this. I had the best that.
But you want to know the craziness?
Yeah. Let's get into
some craziness.
Let's get into some crap that didn't go down so well.
Okay. I'll totally tell you. And here's the thing with me. I've been food poisoned by 5-star restaurants, and I've been food poisoned by food stalls. There's right. Like, just because you're at a fancy restaurant, like you can get it. Like one time I ate a pork chop at a really fancy Japanese restaurant in Napa, and I got sick as a dog. And then, dude, one time I remember,
and feel free to call them out if you want.
Nah, it's all right. But I remember having a meal once in Salt Lake City, and it was a terrible experience. Like, if food poisoning, it's coming out in every end. And you just feel like you're about to die.
Yeah.
And I had to play a gig, and the worst part about it is that unfortunately Will Dog's dad had just passed or was passing, so he had to split the gig. So I had to learn the bass part for the songs. Mm-hmm. So I'm sick as a dog, food poisoned, and I had to learn the bass parts. And I'm just sitting there, just doing the part, just sweating, but cold too. That cold sweat.
Oh my God.
No, it happens.
Yeah.
And another funny story is that like one time, we were playing this gig in Sacramento, And dinner was this like Roach Coach. This, I don't even know the name of the truck or whatever, but they were like, dinner's over there. You know, you get asked whatever you want. So everybody who ate there, right? So then I think there was only one or two people that didn't eat there from the band. The next day, we had this gig for that radio station K-Pig in Santa Cruz.
Okay.
And everybody who ate at this Roach Coach basically got sick.
Oh man.
So during the gig, dude, it was like clockwork. It was like weird because like you'd see one dude just put down his instrument and get off stage and go to the bathroom. And then someone else would leave.
Because it just hits. When it hits, you don't get any warnings for that. When it comes on, it's coming on.
And one of the more kind of craziest memorable stories is like, I guess, you know, it's kind of made the round. I don't know, but we were on the Warped Tour, like one of our first tours, and at that time the catering was pretty whack, dude. Like it was just like it could be good sometimes, but then that day in particular, I remember it was like these nasty roast beef sandwiches that made Arby's look fancy and shit, you know, like it was fucking nasty. So, but you know, you eat it, you're just like, dang, I need something. I'm hungry. I need something. So this one band, I guess I'll leave them, you know, unnamed, but this one other band, their bass player, they're a ska band from Orange County. I'll give that. Okay. So their bass player, I guess got crazy sick off this food and, ended up shitting himself on stage, dude. And dude, okay, like that's already terrible, but you know what? The dude just didn't get off stage. Just like, fuck it, I'm gonna keep playing this stage.
Keep rolling, powered through it.
Yeah, so big ups on him, but the fucked up part was after, like, I guess some had rolled out in his pants or whatever and was on the stage. Dude, the stagehands refused to clean it. They're like, we ain't picking that up. So homie had to go get a towel and clean up his own dookie off the stage.
Jeez.
And then just like, and then I remember too, like he had brought this chick with him to like see his show and like that. Like she got all embarrassed.
What's going on with that?
Dude, so yeah, it can get messy out there with food poisoning. And sometimes when I go somewhere and I think it might be sketch, I'll always be like, well, what's fried? Give me what's fried.
Yeah.
You know, just because I know when you dip it in that hot oil, it's going to kill everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's a good theory. Yeah. It's not raw. It's not half cooked.
No.
It hasn't been sitting.
Just fried.
Another one is
fried.
Yeah, another one is it's just been sitting out for a while, unrefrigerated or unheated. So you know, like you know, with my training and stuff, there's like a degree of how. So a lot of stuff. Oh well, some alarms going off, but it's all good. There's basically a temperature below 140, and it needs to be above 40. So that temperature in between there, food shouldn't be at that temperature unless it's like a steak or something that can be eaten raw. That middle temperature in between those is a bacteria creator right there. Right. So yeah, and it's tough, man. Like you can't tell. You didn't handle it before you ate it, and you're like, I hope this is okay.
For sure.
And there's some guys that, you know, have known that like, this is something that was prepared right in front of me. I think Bourdain's gone into that where he was with the, you know, either the Maasai warriors or something. He's like, okay, I know I'm going to get sick from this, but this is their cultural dish, whether it's drinking blood or this meat that they killed earlier in the day, but it's been sitting in the sun for a while. I'm going to eat it because it's theirs, you know, they killed it for me. But sometimes some of these like restaurants, they just don't take the time to learn how to keep things proper in the correct way. And that's why, you know, all that stuff has come out where they got to do health inspections. Now we get,
you can't leave it to just people, you know, unfortunately, because people always cut corners.
Right.
People just do the sickest shit and not deal with it right or handle the food properly. And, you know, and then it's funny because sometimes I've been to places where it's like, it got a C rating, but people are telling me it's bomb. I'm like, all right, let's try it. All right, let's go.
Just as long as nothing's on the floor, you know. I learned that, you know, like a box that comes in from a delivery, it's like that box never touches the table. It stays on it. It's been on many floors. It was on a truck. Yeah. It was in the produce, whatever it is. It should never go on the table necessarily, because you just brought wherever that box came from. That's you just put it right back on your table. And stuff.
Right.
But you know, getting out of the gross stuff and getting out of the bad stuff. You're in LA, man. There are some killer spots. Are there some local spots that you love going to that you're just like, these are my you know, few spots that I like?
I mean,
I like to eat at.
Yeah, there's tons of LA spots that I grew up eating at, and then there's spots, you know, and the cool thing about LA, there's always like new spots. Let's check it out.
Yeah, but I mean, if you got friends or, you know, anybody that you like. And
throw me out a food and I'll tell you where I go to for it.
Well, let's start off with, let's go Korean.
Usually Korean, if I'm going to mess with Korean, there's the what is it, BCD, Tofu House.
Yes.
I love me some Tofu House. And you know, there's tons of like, you know, Korean barbecue spots. Unfortunately, one of my favorite ones was this, and it used to be on 6th Street, but it's not there anymore, guys, so sorry. But the reason why it was my favorite is just because it was packed with old school Koreans. It was all you can eat. The meat was decent, and it was so hardcore that they would just let you smoke cigarettes in there. Like, they didn't, you know, because it was already smoky as all hell in there. So it's like, if you want to smoke cigarettes, go ahead. But yeah, that's, you know, for Korean food, I love me those, you know, the little hot pot tofu style with the kimchi and pork. Like, what's up? Or seafood one, or, you know,
do you like the seafood pancake? Do you like that?
I like it.
Yeah,
I love the seafood pancake.
Yeah.
You know what? And in the summer, I love the cold noodles. I love the cold noodles. Yep. And of course, you know, bibimbops, whatever, all that, you know, and I love all the accoutrements, all the different kind of kimchi.
Yeah, the banchans. Yeah.
All that. I love that.
Yeah, the cucumbers. Yeah, sometimes you get bean sprouts.
Yep.
Sometimes you get some
the one
marinated
little fried fish that they give you sometimes.
Yeah, the fried fish, or it's like there's Japanese like God, I'm drawing a blank on it right now, my brain. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
So good. It's like fish cake almost.
Throw another one.
It's like fish cake. It's a very thin fish cake.
Throw another one. What's another one?
Of course, I got to ask you about Mexican. Let's go. Let's get that out of the way.
Okay, Mexican food. Okay, but what do you want? Like, so like it's like Oaxacan, you know, even tacos, like, because it's like tacos and be like, oh, I have a place for al pastor, I have a place for like
let's break it down. Let's break it down then. Let's go tacos then. So Mexican tacos.
So tacos, when it comes down to tacos, there's always like a thing, because like I'll have a favorite spot that I just go crazy off it, and then I find a new spot that I go crazy after. You know what I mean? So, as far as tacos al pastor, there's a spot that they set up on Atlantic, right there by the old Pep Boys, that they do the whole like little bit of pineapple on it, and just really good al pastor. There's another spot called De Goya off in Downey. They have really good al pastor. Tacos al vapor. I like, there's a spot called Tacos El Negro in Bell Gardens that they don't even have a menu, bro. It's just like, cheek, lip, it's like cachete, labio, cabeza, and carne asada. That's it. That's all they have.
Okay.
Like there's no other thing on the menu, just tacos with those 4 meats. Okay. Like which one you want. And it's bomb.
And that's which one?
That's Tacos El Negro.
Wow.
And carnitas. There's, you know, the big one in LA that we used to win a bunch of competitions was El Momo. I mean, dude, they're good ass tacos, carnitas. But I love the the carnitas at Luz del Dia and Alvera Street, actually. There's this one spot right on the corner, right next to the plaza, that they've been there forever. And my mom used to go there after work. And the hand always, that's the one thing about tacos. When they making the tortillas by hand were money. Okay.
Yes.
So they have these carnitas there, and with the 2 tacos, rice and beans plate, bomb. I love their carnitas there. Fish tacos, Cuatro Vientos, and right there, right by the projects near the Sears off of Soto. Amazing shrimp taco. Like they do this shrimp kind of mash, and then they fry the taco, and then they put this salsa and slices of avocado over it. It's just so good.
Oh, man.
And then they also have like their straight up like fish taco, like the battered fish.
Yeah,
but
Baja
the shrimp
style.
But the shrimp taco there is just like, it's just, I take people there all the time and be like, try this. What is up, homie? You know?
Nice.
You know, and what else? Like tacos.
Yeah, I mean that's. I think we got a
3 of
bunch
them?
on tacos.
Okay,
We got a bunch on tacos.
Gorditas, there's a spot right at my house. It's family run. They make amazing gorditas and sopes by hand, off of Gage Avenue. Dude,
What area would you say that's in?
that's in Bell. That's in Bell. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, tortas. There's a spot in Huntington Park called Yayas. We used to say. Yayas has like over 100 different kind of tortas there.
Oh,
so
my
you can,
goodness.
you can like, they'll have like, one of my favorite ones is like the mariachi, which is roasted pork, chorizo, and Oaxacan cheese. And then they'll have like the Aztec, the Azteca, which is carne asada with roasted nopal and Oaxacan cheese.
Wow.
Then they'll have like the Cuban. They'll have they have all these different tortas. And if you want to go off and make up your own one, they'll let you do that too.
Nice.
So that spot's bomb. Mole wise, there's a couple of them. There's Rocio's in Bell Gardens that they're one of the few restaurants in the hood that's gotten a Michelin star, bro. So you know it's serious.
Yeah, for sure.
There's that one, and then there's mole de los dioses or reyes. No, dioses. Let me just make sure real quick.
It's all good.
But because that place is a little mom and pop spot that I love to go to too. They have like over 8 or 9 different moles.
Man, Uli's dropping some serious Mexican LA
Mole de los
there.
Reyes. Mole de los Reyes off of Maywood Avenue in Bell too. That one's great. If you like mole. And of course I got to give a shout out to La Casita Mexicana with Chef Ramiro and Jaime, and they opened this little restaurant, and they've kind of expanded and kind of grown in fame. Like they were on Bobby Flay, the Beat Bobby Flay show, and they beat that fool. So they do these
Nice.
chiles and nogadas, like the stuffed chilies. They're really good. I personally like their there's a bunch of, actually, I go through phases. I'll try their fish for a while, and their flank for a minute, and then all these other things that,
Nice.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, Casita Mexicana has definitely put as far as in Bell, like they put the restaurant, where they were making a scene there. Mexican food. Are we still on Mexican food?
Yeah, we can go to the next one. If you want to go, we can dip back into the Asian scene. You want to do Japanese?
Japanese, sushi wise, there's a couple spots I go to. I go to Sushigen in Little Tokyo. It's always really good fish. Taihei in Monterey Park, Montebello area off of Garfield. Super old school spot. that's been there for years. Sushi, ramen Yamadaya, right here down the street.
I've heard about that place.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
good?
Yeah, it's good. And they give you the little, the garlic crusher thing if you want a little, because, like my mother-in-law was always like, nah, I don't want no garlic in that. But I love garlic, so I'll throw that in there and to crush the fresh garlic in there. Tempura. Oh man, I got to tell you about this tempura spot.
Yeah, and Uli was telling me about this place. He said it's a Peruvian guy that spent some time in Japan.
Because there's that big Japanese population in Peru, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, yeah, they're bomb. What's dudes?
Well, like you're talking about Peru. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, there's soy sauce in Peru, right? Like, there's a big influence of Asian ingredients, right?
Mm-hmm. And shout out to my wife's families and family friends. They ran this restaurant called Cotojira in Gardena too. Their whole fame was that they made the udon by hand. So udon right there is bomb.
Okay.
Curry wise, I love Japanese curry. I love Japanese curry.
Katsu curry.
But then a lot of the curry spots at like Curry House and all these other curry house like spots that I used to go to, a lot of them got shut down. So I'm kind of on this. There's a Curryfornia that was all right. But they do have a Coco Ichibanya out here, but that's kind of like a chain. So it's kind of like it'll scratch that itch when I really want that curry.
Yeah. You just might have to go back and look at some of the restaurants you've been to and see if they have it on the menu and they're making it right.
Yeah, there's definitely spots. Like there's this one spot that their curry is like super, super good, but it's just to give you like the portions are not that huge. So I'm always like, dude, I want to
double it up.
Yeah. I got a okonomiyaki spot that I love.
Love okonomiyaki.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know, it's kind of a Japanese pancake, open-faced pancake with ingredients that the batter gets thrown down. Usually has cabbage. If it's my mom used to make it too. She'd throw like dried shrimp in there.
Yep.
And cabbage are the main two inside the batter, and then you just start throwing ingredients on top. Bonito. I've seen a lot of crazy Americanized versions too, but I mean, it keep it pretty simple.
And the other thing is that like Hiroshima has a very particular style of making it, and then like Tokyo has a style of making it. The first time I ever kind of grubbed it out was in Hiroshima. And they were so tripped out that I was like in there that they were just like, who's this dude? Like overgrown fool. And the lady actually let me go behind the grill and flip my own. It was super cool.
That's awesome.
Oh, so the tempura spot's called Carlos Jr.
Carlos Jr. Okay.
Tendon tempura, super good. That's been my laytest favorite tempura spot. What else? Old school style, like 2 a.m. Like, it's
late
open.
Nights?
Yeah, I got to give it up. There's 2 spots in Little Tokyo. Koraku is probably my favorite go-to one, because it's just like, it's funny too, because most of the chefs in there are Mexicans. So I remember taking my wife's cousin in there and just, having them eat it and then being like, how is it? Oshi, like, it's good. And I was like, dude, Mexicans made that, bro. He's like, no, it's really good. And then, of course, I got to give a shout out to Suhiro, just because it was a spot that back in the day, like another 2 a.m. spot that like we would always go to. I mean, it's kind of like more like a down home spot. It's not like really like, there's not anything, one particular thing that's like, oh my God, you got to get it there, but just more like, I have a lot of memories of going there,
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you just dropped a serious list. Like, I usually, so far, you've topped everyone else out as far as dropping the amount of, local eats. Is there, Man, you dropped a serious list, so like we can get into some other stuff.
Right,
you know?
Thai food.
Yeah, Thai.
Yeah, one of my favorite is Sanam Luang. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but another spot that's super, super down home, and it is open to like 4 a.m, at least back in the day. So that was my go-to spot when I used to gig in Hollywood, because the scene after was always crazy. Bunch of club kids, you know, all kinds of people dressed up all kinds of crazy, and then hardcore Thais in there. And Emperor, my favorite dish at that particular spot was called Emperor's Noodle. It was like, I'm sure I don't know if there's another name for it, but it's like a flat noodle in this gravy sauce with all kinds of like seafood and meats in it.
And is that, you know, that's kind of ties into my other question is like, was that one of the spots where, you know, you and the guys, you and Ozo would go to for sure. That's like one of the local spots.
Yeah, that was like definitely a spot that like, oh, after the gig, hey man, let's go to Thai Town and go to that spot. There's Palms too that I used to like a lot. They were famous for the Thai Elvis. This dude that used to be up there, the Thai Elvis.
Yeah, there's like some ramen dude in Japan too that's like big. He's like the ramen, you know, guru, but he's like Elvis.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, he hardly speaks. As far as I think, if I remember correctly, he doesn't speak very much. You just go in there and you eat.
Right,
and you leave.
Right.
You enjoy the meal that he's making you, even though he like looks like that.
Right.
He's got the, you know, the pompadour and everything going, and then, all right, have some good ramen and arigato.
See ya. Yeah. Let's see. God, what else is Japanese style?
And you can pick anything else. You don't have to pick Japanese.
We were already into Thai though.
We hit pretty hits. Yeah, you got Thai.
Those were my old school favorites. Armenian food, Carousel in Hollywood. There's another one in Glendale too, but the Hollywood one is like hardcore. That's the one I like to go to. You'd be seeing these fools outside looking hella soprano-ish, drinking, having straight vodka with their meals. Carousel. And of course, got to give a shout out to Zanku Chicken, because that's a LA staple. Most people, you know, kind of grew up in Hollywood, LA, know about Zanku. It's a Armenian style rotisserie chicken.
Oof,
they got this garlic paste that's just out of control good that you have it with the chicken. Like, it's so good, man. I put that shit on my chest like vapor rub, dog. It's just like, I mean, no vampire is going to get at you after that. You know, it's just so good. And what else? Let's see. Man. Filipino food. You know, there's a bunch of places. Like back in the day, I used to go to this one called Point Joint. Because it's just like a bunch of food and you just point to what you want.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a new spot that I forgot the name of it that I've been going to in Cerritos. Okay. There's a big Filipino community in Cerritos.
Nice. What's your favorite out of the Filipino food?
Kare. I love kare with the tripe and the oxtail and all that goodness in there. I love crispy pata, bagoong fried rice.
Nice.
Of course, you know, I mean, I love adobo.
The staples, adobo,
yeah, like adobo,
pancit,
lumpia.
Yeah.
It's heavy food, so when I'm in the mood for Filipino food, I get ready. You know, I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other stuff too, like tinola. Have you had tinola?
Yeah. Or that one.
That's kind of a little on the lighter side.
Or that one soup, the tamarind soup. What's it called?
I know the rice. There, you know, you have the rice porridge too. Lugao, I think it's called. It's very similar to the juk in China as well. But yeah, we can look that up. Consult the oracle. Magic device. But I mean, you drop Sinigang. Yes, Sinigang. I should know this. Yes. But yeah, awesome.
Yes, that's.
You dropping a lot, man. A lot. Let's get back to
what's another one.
Another one?
Well, I mean, what's another food from LA?
Well,
dude,
we can go.
We can go on.
We can
bro.
go Italy. We can go France. We can go.
See, the thing with Italy is that there was in LA a small Italian community in downtown, right next to Chinatown, in fact, and also in San Pedro.
Okay.
But there is a lack of Italian representation here as far as restaurants. There are some pretty good Italian restaurants. Don't get me wrong. But the shit ain't it's not like New York, you know, or a place out in the Jersey or something, you know, where it's like, oh, you want some good Italian food? Let's go there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, you know, we got it all out here, but you know, not everything is like, oh, this is the best out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, we got it all.
I mean, I don't think it should be that way, right? Like you should have to travel a little bit to go to some places.
For sure. But
having it all in one spot is kind of weird, right? It's like,
yeah, but you know, it also, it also depends on the mix of people that ended up in that city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like, you know, San Francisco definitely has some good Italian food,
for sure.
And San Francisco definitely has some bomb ass Chinese food, you know?
Yep.
And, you know, but like, you know, back in the day, I remember in New York, you couldn't find good Mexican food for a hot second in New York. It was hard, finding decent Mexican food.
Yeah.
Now you can, but there was a moment where it was like, nah, they didn't have it, you know? So, you know, it just kind of who ends up there kind of, you know?
Yeah. Yep. That's cool.
Other favorites, what's up? Fried chicken?
Oh,
fried chicken.
I could ask you that one. Yeah. What's that one?
I'm gonna.
I
You know
love
what?
fried
You know
chicken.
what's crazy, dude? I live really close to one of the last two Pioneer chickens, and the Bell Gardens Pioneer chicken. If you like Pioneer, if you have like fond memories of Pioneer chicken, I would suggest making the trek and going to Bell Gardens and going into this Pioneer chicken, because when you step in there, it's like stepping back 20 years, 30 years, bro. It like the decor, the plastic booths, the hard plastic booths, and the chicken is still bomb. And this is the kind of spot that the strips are bomb. They got chicken gizzards there, fried chicken gizzards, fried livers. So good, dude. Yeah. So, I mean, there are other fried chicken spots too. Honey Kettle, is Yum Yums, you know, but yeah.
I've even seen a new one, not to bring more Japanese stuff, but there's like one called Tokyo Fried Chicken. Is that one good? Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been there. It's pretty good. It was
good. On my list. I haven't been there. But
and the thing is that the batter tastes Japanese, you know, it has that Japanese flavor to it, but it's this, you know, it's almost like a clash of like, you know, Southern tradition and Japanese food. So they'll have like greens, but mixed with all these other things, you know, just like, so it's good though. No, I've been there. I've been there. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, is there any dishes that you like to make at home? Stepping off the, you know, the local spots.
Right.
Let's get back to
when I was a kid. When I was a kid, one of the first things I ever learned how to make was chorizo and eggs, because I loved it, man. I loved, especially the Mexican style chorizo and eggs. You know, it's like, you know.
Yeah, it comes out of the two. You and my wife.
You know, I love that stuff. I love chorizo and eggs, even though some of this low quality chorizo, who knows what it's made out of, like buttholes and earlobes. But dude, like, you know, I love chorizo and eggs. So that was like one of the first foods that I learned how to make. Okay. And I've always been one of those kind of people that is like, you got to know at least a couple dishes or a couple things to make for yourself, you know. So, you know, through the years, you know, I'm always learning and always kind of like, so like I can make myself like a nice batch of Japanese curry if I need to, you know. Yeah. And I've been asking everybody, you know, as we know, we went through this pandemic thing, still going through it. A lot of people were home. Was there stuff that you were kind of like, hey, let's play with this? Is there something? Because, you know, a lot of our favorite restaurants weren't available. They were closed. They had to shut down completely. I found myself grilling a lot of meat during the pandemic. Nice. Just because I was just kind of like, if the world's going to fucking end, I want a steak. That's awesome. So, yeah, I grilled a lot of meat during the pandemic. And then, you know, sometimes would go out to eat in places where I was like, dang, you know, like we're really going to do this. Okay. But
yeah, I mean, it's still you were supporting. Still, you know, they're struggling because it was like you had to go from full blown restaurant to go only. And there's, you know, as well as I do, there's some restaurants that are like, what do you mean?
Right.
That's all like, yes. And they can't even come in the restaurant. Right. They have to stand outside.
Right.
And, you know, everyone had to pivot and just go through that. And it's good that you're getting out there, though, and support the, you know, it's good to remind people to support their local spots because it is difficult right now.
And speaking of local spots and friend spots, I got to give a shout out to one of the best pizzas in LA. They do an amazing square slice.
There we go.
Do yourself a favor, go to Apollonia's Pizza off of Wilshire. It's kind of like near Wilshire and La Brea, but it's more off of Wilshire in this shopping center, Apollonia's Pizza. They've been catching a lot of hype, a lot of attention because of the main pizza maker there, Justin, the homie. He's just killing it with this square slice, man. It's so good.
Sounds good, man.
Shout out to Apollonia's Pizza because you know that's definitely one food, Dave, that you could go anywhere in the world and there's going to be pizza there. You know, it's kind of crazy. You know, like the whole, even though obviously it has its Italian roots, right? But everybody's kind of done their thing with it in certain ways, in certain places. You know,
there's so many ways to twist it.
Totally. There's a great spot near my house too called Big Al's Pizzeria. Now, what's the deal with Big Al's is that they're Lebanese that grew up in that area, you know? So the spot's halal, but they got all these cool signature pizzas. Like they got this like garlic chicken shawarma pizza. Oh, nice. That's like it's almost like, a blending of that, you know, a chicken shawarma sandwich with the little purple pickles and whatnot on top of a pizza. One of my favorite ones. And they got this funky like cheeseburger pizza that I love there, and because at first I was like, cheeseburger pizza, get out of here, but no, it's really good. But that garlic shawarma pizza,
that sounds good, man.
Yeah, Big Al's.
It's like I don't know if you've had the one in the city towards the beach. I think they're still there. They do a tandoori chicken pizza. Brothers, right. Out there by Ocean Beach. Yeah, they
really?
do. Yeah,
I've never tried that.
They just do the tandoori chicken traditionally. You know, it's got that color, and then they just slice it real thin, and then they throw it on top, and then a little bit of cilantro. Wow! And the cheese, and it's it's a cheese pizza, and then boom, throw on that tandoori chicken, a little cilantro, and it's good to go.
I love Indian food.
Yeah,
that's another.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on Indian. Yeah.
Okay, I'll hit up Indian real quick. As far as Indian food, I gotta give a shout out. Now, this might not be everybody's cup of tea because it is a vegetarian spot, but Ozomatli has roots to it because back in the day, Jiro used to play Indian music at this restaurant. And the trippy thing about this spot is like it's right off of Sunset, you know, and it's like. And it's this gate, man. It's this gate. And you got to get buzzed in. And when you get buzzed in, bro, it's like almost like you enter this like oasis. Like it's like all these plants and you go in and it's super mellow vibe. It's called Paru's off of Sunset. And I believe it's North Indian cuisine, but it's vegetarian. So when you walk out of there, you feel good. You know what I mean? It's like kind of food where you're not all super bogged down. Right. Yeah. Because even I went through a vegetarian phase, but I love vegetarian restaurants. You know, certain ones. You know, like one of my other big ones is Happy Family Restaurant in Monterey Park too, off of Atlantic. I've been going to that spot since high school, and the thing with that spot is that. You know, it's Chinese food, but everything that you could think of, but vegetarian vibe. So, like, let's say if you wanted, like, sweet and sour pork, right? Sweet and sour pork. What it is, it's a certain kind of mushroom that they bread like the pork. Nice. And it's so good, dude. So, like, I love that spot. Happy Family, I've been going to that spot for years. So I got to give them a shout out. Even though they did raise their prices, but what's up?
Yeah. Gotta support them though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
pastrami, what's up? Langers.
I was gonna ask you about Langers.
Langers is probably the closest to like East Coast style. Yeah. You know, pastrami.
Is that by Echo? Is that Echo Park?
Right there in Echo Park. Yeah. They're bomb. If you want more the like French roll vibe, there's Johnny's. on the west side that I love their pastrami. And also, of course, like for all the East Siders and stuff like that, there's the Hat.
Yeah.
You know, which
there's a newer Jewish deli in Grand Central too.
Oh, really? Yeah, I haven't tried it out.
You'll like it.
Yeah, but Langer's has a rep that's been
for
forever,
sure.
You know.
Old school.
Yeah, all the way.
The standard, the gold standard.
And there's a couple of old school spots like that are like LA standards, you know, like Philippe's, you know, the French dip sandwiches.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents used to take me there as a little kid, like tripping out, like, why is there sawdust on the floor? You know, like, what is this? You know, like, but I still to this day will hit up Philippe's and have that lamb, you know, French dip with a little blue cheese on it. Oh my God. Or the pork one with cheddar, you know, so good. And then there's, you know, old school LA spots like Tommy's, you know, of course, like their chili burgers, you know.
That was my next, you just mentioned it. Burgers. Let's finish it at burgers. You dropped a serious list.
Okay. Well, Tommy Burgers is just because it's so old school LA, you know, and there's a certain style to it. It's not everybody loves it because it's like, it is pretty heavy and not everybody loves, you know, chili burgers, you know.
Right.
But Tommy's is definitely one of those spots that, like, you got to try it at least once. And if you want to go real old school, you get a tamal at Tommy's, and you get this funky tamal. They pour the chili over it. You know, old schoolers love the tamal. Because I remember going to Tommy's before they even had fries. They would just be chips. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's awesome.
Burgers wise too. Let's see. In LA. Let's see.
I mean, burgers are
just so many.
There's
right?
a ton, right?
Yeah, there's a ton.
But yeah, I mean, you know, you dropped a serious list, man, and I appreciate that because that's dropping some serious LA knowledge there.
And even though it is kind of a franchise from back in the, you know, now it's kind of like everywhere, but I got to give it, you know, like there's Fat Burger because that was a very LA thing.
Yeah.
Fat Burger was a very, very LA thing.
Okay.
And out of all the chains, that's probably one of my favorite ones. You know, because everybody's always in and out, in and out. And hey, don't get me wrong, I love me some In and Out.
Yeah.
You know, but
there's some other chains that are good too.
There's a lot of
some heavy hitters now.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see other burger spots. I'm trying to think because like there's
unless they sponsor this podcast, we're not talking about.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, that's awesome, man. I mean, all that food. I mean, you know, it's almost dinner time for us over here, and we're like talking about all this food. And you just dropped a serious list. And then I kind of, you know, you dropped out what, you know, Ozomatli likes, your favorite eats, you know, your ethnicity to food. Is there like anything that, you know, I always kind of bring this up. I'm kind of a gear guy. You know, you use a lot of tools with music. Is there something that you like in the kitchen? You're like, man, this thing's cool. Like, I really like using this and this helps me out. Is there any tools that help you out in the kitchen that you're like, man, I think everyone should get one of these? Anything cool?
Anything in particular? I guess the three things that I use the most in the kitchen is probably my cast iron skillet, my coffee maker, my espresso maker, and my blender.
Nice.
I got one of those. What's the nice one? The
KitchenAid?
The Costco one, the nice one.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to talk.
What is
the
it?
Vitamix?
Yeah, Vitamix.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I got back in the day when it was like ridiculously expensive. I found a good use.
They still are hefty.
I bought one off of eBay and I use it quite a bit, you know, for all kinds of things.
It's awesome.
You know, what else?
Yeah, we'll throw that in the show notes and stuff. And then the floor is yours, man. Like, you know, anything you want to bring up, any advice you want to give, you know, what you got going on
well,
with
right
Ozo.
Now, Ozo,
tell us what's up.
We're coming out of this whole, you know, because it's crazy because we were starting to work again end of last year. And then the Omicron hit and it was like, bam, dude. It was almost like back to square one with the gigs. Like, dang. But everything is opening up again slowly. So also the other plan is that Ozo is going to be dropping a new record this year. So we were actually recording it in this really, really cool studio really close to El Paso, Sonic Ranch. If you ever heard of Sonic Ranch, it's like a kind of place where it's a studio in the middle of this pecan farm, bro, like really close to the border.
Okay.
And some of the most amazing equipment and gear in these rooms, and basically you live on the compound, bro, and you make the record, and you wake up, they have señoras that make breakfast.
Nice.
You eat breakfast, and then you go to the studio, and like if you want to do anything, like go into town, it's a car ride, so it's like almost like you're there, like because everything else you need is kind of at the studio, whether it's food. They make amazing dinners and lunches, and all the food is provided. And then at the end of the night, you get this little room to yourself, and there's all these, there's these cats that live at the studio. So they just kind of go into your room and hang out. And I mean, if you hate cats, you're fucked.
Yeah. Especially if you're allergic.
If you're allergic, yeah, totally. But I love dogs and cats, and I have both. So, okay. I totally love their energy and just,
So when do you guys think I saw that you guys have some stuff coming up later in the year. Mm-hmm. Is that when Ozo's coming back?
No, we actually have stuff hopefully already in April. By end of April, we got this cruise with a bunch of Latin legends and like Zap and you name it, all these like old school funk groups.
Yeah.
We're doing a cruise from like Long Beach to Ensenada and then back. It's like a weekend thing. Mm-hmm. Then we got this beach fest in right here in Redondo Beach. Actually, it's going to be a 3-day festival. A lot of big bands. We're on the last day. We're on the Steve Miller Day, and we're doing the after party at this club called Venice West.
Nice. And
those are the first like kind of big gigs we're doing, and then slowly but surely we're going to be playing more and more gigs, and we'll be, for everybody who's interested, Ozomatli, we're on every social media, Instagram.
Yeah, Ozomatli.com.
Yeah, Ozomatli.com, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. We're on everything, and you can always get your information and find out where we're playing soon,
Sweet. And then you said some new music's coming, right? Did you guys release that single or anything?
Yeah, we've been slowly releasing singles off the album. The last couple ones, we have Mi Destino that we released. Cool thing about that one is that we have Gabby Moreno on the track, and also we have Be Real on the track. And the thing with Be Real is that, like, in my area, in Southeast LA, like there's two groups that made it out that were huge, because I can't say Ozomatli's from there because I'm from there.
Yeah.
But Slayer and Cypress Hill were the two biggest bands that kind of came out of that area.
Awesome.
So, it was always one of those things like, when are we ever going to work with Be Real? And finally, like, it happened this album. So we got Be Real on this track. Then we also have this other song called Fellas that got released. The cool thing about that song is that we got JJ Fad on there. If people don't know, JJ Fad is like one of the old school all-female groups. Had a huge hit called Supersonic back in the day, but they had other songs too, but that was their big hit. And we also got Lisa from Lisa and the Cult Jam on the track. And then our newest single that's going to be probably dropping in March this month is called Sacude. And so we're dropping, we got this album and we're kind of doing it, obviously album is a little bit old school, but then we're kind of just dropping singles to build it up to it.
Awesome.
And just keep it going.
Probably by the time this comes out, your album will be out. So appreciate you, Uli, dropping a lot of LA knowledge, dropping your knowledge, sharing your culture, sharing your family and traditions and everything. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. I'm trying to think of what other places I could give a shout out to.
Well, we'll put the long and notorious list in the show notes. Thanks everybody. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you.
Peace.
Take care. And as a quick reminder, the restaurants and gear talked about on each episode can be found on my website, foodoriginspodcast.com. I appreciate your support, and thanks for listening.